I hear that one all the time, and again, the focus is in the wrong place. The focus is in the resume, and it's like the resume is not the problem. Okay, that's really not the problem. The problem is nobody knows who you are.
Welcome to the Disgruntled PM podcast, your weekly therapy session for the chaotic world of project management, transforming daily frustrations into real action. Welcome, everybody. I'm Trevor, the Disgruntled PM, joined today by my guest, another Trevor, somebody you've probably heard of, seen his stuff around, know who he is, and if you don't, you're about to learn. My guest today is Trevor Houston. Trevor, why don't you introduce yourself to the audience for the five people that might not know who you are?
Well, thank you so much for having me. You're gonna have an explosive episode today. TNT in the house. So, yeah, my name is Trevor Houston. I'm a financial services professional and a career strategist, and I love being able to help people going through career transition to really get back to their cash flow. That's one of my things that I'm super passionate about. So, I'm sure we'll probably dive into some of that later. But yeah, that's what I love to do.
Man, I was hoping for you to launch into something so to get me going, but you didn't. So, so I'll start with,
That- That's your job, man. You're supposed
well,
to pull it out of me.
no, I am, but when one of the things you teach
Huh?
is how you introduce yourself,
Huh?
right? And
Yeah.
what's the first thing you're supposed to say after your name when you introduce yourself to somebody in a professional capacity?
Uh, you tell me.
Isn't it your XYZ statement?
Well, sure, that might be like an elevator pitch, but this is more of a podcast interview. You're actually supposed to introduce me.
Yes,
Yeah.
but I've been on shows where the host talks about the guest for 5 minutes before I get involved, and I'm falling asleep before I'm even introduced. So I try
Yeah.
and get my guests engaged right away.
Right, but not by introducing themselves.
Well,
Yeah.
well,
So, because that's like, passing off the baton, right? Like, hey, introduce yourself, right? It's kind of a, you know, little awkward. But anyway, go ahead. What
but
questions do you have for me?
so you start off with teaching the XYZ statement,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Uh-huh.
and that's your that's the start to your elevator pitch and how you introduce yourself.
Yeah. Well,
Can
I
you?
wouldn't I wouldn't necessarily introduce myself in that fashion, right? So
Okay.
there's a different space and use case for the XYZ statement, right? The XYZ statement is I help X, X is your target market, accomplish Y. Y is the problem that you solve, right? Z is accomplish Z, which is the method for using for to accomplish that problem, right? To solve the problem. So, like as an example, I help job seekers recover their income by optimizing their LinkedIn profile or by helping them create a video resume or, it could be multiple different things. But that's kind of like again, it's a one line elevator pitch. Um, and you would use this in different places. You would use this on your LinkedIn banner. That might be a place that you might use it. You might use it in your about section or your headline of your LinkedIn profile. That might be another place you would use it. But in normal conversation, it's usually not the thing that you would say if someone said, introduce yourself, and you're like, I help job seekers recover their income by
See,
optimizing their
I
profile.
I'm
Right.
even learning.
Right. It probably isn't just a natural thing that you would say. Right. So you kind of threw me off there.
But
You
what
threw.
I will say is the mission statement for the show is an XYZ statement, and it is played on an image if you're watching this show with the intro music.
Okay. All right. So your intro and everything has got your XYZ.
Yes.
You tell me your XYZ. I want to hear it.
Oh man, now you're putting me on the spot.
I had to flip the script on you. You don't remember it?
So the XYZ statement for the show is the Disgruntled PM podcast helps project managers transform daily frustrations into leadership opportunities by sharing clear strategies, no nonsense advice, and a relatable dose of humor from experienced guests.
Yep. That's it. I help X accomplish Y using Z. There you go. That's exactly what it was.
So, yeah, and that's the start of some of the things that Trevor focuses on teaching in his workshops, in his classes, and in everything he does, because his mission is to help everybody get better jobs and also to recover their money, but that's not your main mission, is it?
Well, for me, there's nothing better than when you see somebody that's going through a hard time, like a career transition, to transform. Like we had Christopher in today's Coach's Corner Mastermind, and he transformed. I had a conversation with him just a minute ago to congratulate him because he just landed a job. And he was in job search for 9 months, and 5 of those months were before he met me. And in those 5 months, he said how hard it was, and the stress, the anxiety, not getting any callbacks, applying online and wasn't going anywhere. He's getting ghosted by employers, all that kind of stuff. And then we met, and we start helping him learn the strategies that I teach in my summit and in my coach's corner workshop. And so he learned these strategies, put them to work, started actually taking action, and he just got the job offer. And it was because of that strategy. I taught him a video first strategy that sends in personalized thank you uh, emails after the interviews. And so he used that. He took action on it, and it got him the result. So for me, when you ask me why I do what I do, right, it's to see that transformation. When I see a person come to me and they're broken, literally, when you're in a career transition, a lot of times you're broken, like you're hurting. You see the transformation. He's a whole new guy now. And not only that, even if we didn't get him the result, oftentimes just coming through my programs, they get inspired, they get hope, they feel like I can do this. They get inspired, motivation, and that's huge too because a lot of the job searches up here, you're in your head about it. You're in a negative mindset, um, victim mentality sometimes
Yeah.
where
I you there's a lot of stigma about being unemployed because I was unemployed for a long time. And one of the things I was calling a friend of mine and I was telling him the hardest thing about being unemployed is you can't talk about it. Because if you tell someone you're unemployed, you get oh, that you still haven't found something. And then they don't know what to do with their hands and they start backing away and they treat you like whatever you just told them is contagious and that you've got cancer. And you deal with that.
oh,
You deal with so many people. Tell me that's not the hardest part
yeah.
because you can't just talk about it with someone without getting the I'm sorry your puppy died look. And then it's well, what do I say to make you feel better and
Mm,
everything else rather than just I'm stating a fact. This is what's going on right now. I don't need pity. I don't need help. I mean, I do need help, but it's not help in the fact that I don't need money in this conversation. I just need somebody to talk to say, yeah, it sucks.
yeah, unemployed isn't homeless,
Not
right?
yet. Not
Not
yet.
yet. Not yet. Good. We can get there. And I've seen it happen. But but even then, I had a guy come on my show one time and he was homeless. And he said, the hardest part about being homeless is no one will look you in the eye. He says you become invisible. People don't want to look at you because they think you're going to ask them for something or beg them or whatever. They literally they don't want to look at you. And I said, man,
Or even worse is they see themselves doing that and they don't want to see that.
what do you mean they
Like
see themselves?
like you could walk by and see that could be me with one change of luck.
The person that sees themselves probably feels empathy. They'll probably actually look at them and try to help them. They may even try to pull out their wallet and try to help. When people have empathy, you know,
Hmm.
and that's what you're saying is like if you see yourself in someone else, that's the empathy side. That's why I help job seekers. It's because I went through it.
You went through it
2009.
twice, didn't you?
Yeah, I've been fired before. I've transitioned on my own. Um, which is different. Like completely transitioning industries
Hmm.
is tough too because you're starting all over from scratch, right?
You
And
go
so
from being top dog to all of a sudden now I've got to relearn everything. But you didn't lose what you had before. You just learning a new skill.
correct. And that's what so many people struggle with when they make a pivot like that is I mean, it is hard. It's like rolling a boulder uphill at first,
Hmm.
right? Until you get it downhill, until it starts going down the other way and starts building some momentum. And when you pivot and change careers to something all new, that's what it can feel like. It's tough. I've had to transition twice. One was my decision and one was theirs. And both of them were hard. There is no easy career transition most of the time, unless you got recruited out of one business into another. So for the most part, for most people, it's just not. And then I remember walking into this local church where they have a career transition group. And I walked in there and I saw there was like 100 senior level executives. We're talking like people that are very experienced, you know, and they're all suffering. They're depressed, they're anxious, and they're stressed out. And the energy in the room, I could feel a void of energy in the room. Like energy, you can feel energy, right? When you get around somebody that's like high energy vibrations, like you can feel it, right? You go walk in this room and it was like a void of energy. And everyone's just head down, just kind of like, ugh. And I saw my, again, I felt empathy. I saw myself in them because I went through that and decided I'm going to dig in and I'm going to help these people. And I didn't know what to do at the time. I didn't know how to help. I just knew I'm going to help these people. Right.
Yeah, and to your point, I interviewed somebody who I've known the guy for 25 years. He was a CEO, and he was telling me, "I dreamed of being a CEO my whole career. I became one, and I didn't realize that my job as a CEO would have been breaking up a Nerf gun fight between my lead project manager and somebody else." We picture these jobs in our heads and build these things up, but we don't really realize when we get there what is and what we built it up to be are not always the same thing.
That's true. Um, you know, when I made a transition into financial services, it was a whole new ball game. I didn't know what I was getting myself into, to be honest with you. Um, as I left the automotive industry and transitioned over. And so it was a big rude awakening for me when I got into the industry and was like, man, this is tough. This is hard. It is not easy. And so I hit rock bottom and had to figure out a way to survive, you know what I mean? And had to figure it out. But to your point, a lot of times you think it's one thing, you get there and it's another, right? And not that there was anything wrong with the industry or anything like that. What it was just I didn't know what I didn't know. And I'm starting over from scratch. I'm starting over, well, not from scratch, from experience, but this is a whole new ball game. And so this was the big leagues.
But
And
one of the things I tell people all the time, because I coach process improvement, is you're not going to see the payoffs when you change the process. You're going to see them 6 months from now once you learn the new process and it becomes normalized, rather than you're going to actually see a regression in the beginning because you're retraining yourself to learn how to do something. And it's no different in the career field. If you start a new career, everything you knew before doesn't go away. It's just not relevant.
yeah, you got to build a foundation, right? And learning new processes and systems. This is what I tell people all the time. Anytime you're doing something new, like expect to suck at it,
Hmm.
right? I don't know why I thought me going from here to here, because I was at the top and then I transitioned. I thought I was just going to, you know, be at the top again.
Just going to
And
walk in and everyone recognized.
yeah, I thought I was gonna knock it out of the park like I always do because that's in my DNA. I'm a winner. Like that's just who I am by nature. You know, it's part of my identity. And then all of a sudden I'm losing. I'm like, oh crap, I'm losing a lot, and I'm feeling like a failure. And I'm like, dang, is all like you start to you start to second question your own identity. Again, because as I was just saying, I'm a winner. That's what I do, right? But all of a sudden, I'm here and I'm losing. I'm like, wait, I'm losing, and then I'm losing again and again and again. And I'm like, all right, am I a winner? You start to question those things, right? Your identity gets questioned. And that's another big common issue that I see a lot with job seekers. Their identity gets questioned. Who are you? Right? And you're not you're more than the words on your resume. Okay? You're more valuable than the words on your resume. You're more valuable than the company that you worked for. You're more valuable than the logo of that company. And we sometimes we put so much of our self-worth in someone else's logo. Think about that for a second.
Yeah. I
You wrap
had
all your self-worth in someone else's logo.
I had a guest and he was talking about, actually this one might not be aired yet, but we'll talk about it anyways. He was mentioning that he did executive coaching and he would talk to people not in I think it was in sales, and they surrounded themselves with people in their company, and especially and executives too. Like he would talk to, and most people will wrap themselves around people that are in the same company they are, not the same industry.
That's true.
So you get that confirmation bias a little bit. When I was laid off in 24, I was talking, and then in 25, the same company had another large round of layoffs. I was talking with someone that got laid off, and I said, "Isn't it great that so much of our LinkedIn network are all people that worked at this company?" And he was like, "Yeah, a lot of help they're going to do." I'm like, "They will, because all those people that you had in your network, we'll say half of them got laid off in mass layoffs. Now they're all going elsewhere, and they're going to be connections to you in other companies."
It's so true. Uh, I tell people all the time that's one of the very first things that I would do is go look at people that you worked with in the past, right? And where are they at now, right?
Yeah.
And go reignite your network. Go talk. I mean, one of the biggest strategies, well, it's not the biggest one, but a good strategy is to go on LinkedIn and send recommendations to the people you worked with in the past. And after you send them a recommendation, and directly after, you're going to ask for a recommendation. And when you ask for a recommendation, make sure you mention that you're searching for a job. And they're going to be like, oh my gosh, of course. They're going to write you a recommendation and they're going to say, wow, I didn't know you were looking. I'm over here at XYZ company. Why don't you come take a look at us? Right. And now you've got someone on the inside who you've worked with before who can pass your information along, who's an advocate for you, a champion for you. And all of that comes from simply giving a recommendation. Give first and then ask. And I would do that. Like, think about that. How many people have you worked with? And go back in time and reignite all of those connections. And that's what I would do. That's where I would start.
Man, I think I need to repeat that for everybody because I don't know if everyone caught that the first time.
Yeah.
You know,
So the first thing you want to do, send them a recommendation. Go back in time, think about everybody you've worked with. And this could be literally the CEO of the company, it could be someone that hired you, it could be someone that you were over them, they were over you. It doesn't matter. Did you work with the same company? Have they seen you operate? Do they know you? Okay. That's all that matters. Go send them a recommendation. So you have just given to them. They're like, wow, Trevor just gave me a recommendation. Man, I haven't talked to Trevor in so long. And directly after you give, then ask. Okay. Say, hey, Trevor, would you mind giving me a recommendation? In return, I'm in job search right now and it helped me out a lot. They're, of course, going to reciprocate. Why? Because you just gave them one. Okay. They're going to reciprocate, send you a recommendation, which is good for your LinkedIn profile. It builds social proof. Okay. So that's already good for that. But also, what's going to happen is they're going to say, wow, Trevor, I didn't know you were searching. Man, why don't you come take a look at the company I'm at right now, whatever company that is? So this
or
does multiple things.
or what they could do is say, "I don't know anyone personally, or I'm not hiring personally, but I heard my buddy Steve over here is hiring too."
Yeah, and whether they're hiring or not, it's irrelevant. This could be the an assistant, it doesn't matter. This person, you worked with them, right? At some level, you worked with them. And now they're working at another company. Okay. So they're already in the door. We talk about get your foot in the door. They're in the door. They work there. Okay. And now you go back to them and say, hey, I saw there's a role over there, XYZ job rec 3456, and I applied for it. Would you mind putting a word in for me? Would you mind getting this in front of the right pair of eyes? All right. Like these people are inside the company. You need people during the job search.
Yeah. And I think that's a great place to pause because I have a huge announcement for the show.
Okay.
And that is that I am launching a Patreon account for the show. That's going to have two tiers on it, the low hanging fruit tier, which is $1 a month. And that's just helping me pay the bills to keep the show going. I don't pay guests, but it helps me find the time to make things happen, pay for the distribution, pay for the recording, all that fun stuff. And then there's also the drinking the Kool-Aid tier. Now, this is the big one because this is where you get bonus content from every one of my guests, even from the beginning, starting from Sheriff Melton all the way through to Trevor over here. And then every guest after is $5 a month. And that's bonus content where I put them on the spot for their expertise. I ask them for their experience, their expertise, and pointed questions to get you to be a better project manager or just a better leader in general, because I've got lots of leaders on the show. What do you think about that, Trevor?
I love it. I love it. Throw in the bonus, my friend. Let's
And
go.
and there's obviously going to be more coming as the show matures, but that's where we're starting.
I love it. I love it. Well, congrats on that. And guys, you need to go check it out for sure. All right. Cause you know I'm gonna be dropping some bombs. Okay. That's what we do. We're gonna drop some bombs here in a minute, okay?
Yep,
But you
we
might
got
you might have to go on to the other side for that.
there will be. I've got some good questions for you.
All right, let's go.
So, one of the things that I know you're famous for is your unconventional approach to getting your information out there to people. And I was listening to a podcast the other day, and it was the color commentary guy for the Colorado Avalanche, which is a hockey team I really like. Well, more than like, but he was he's kind of the face of the TV personalities, and he was talking about how he got started with the team. And I thought this was a perfect place to retell this story, paraphrasing a little bit. But back in 1995, the team had just moved to Denver. This guy just graduated from college with a journalism degree. His parents gave him a $500 Discover card and said, once this is out, you're on your own. So he's going down to the hockey arena every day, buying a pizza, sliding his resume underneath it, takes it to the main receptionist, puts one of the department heads' names on it, and says, please deliver this to this person. By the 12th day, his dad calls him and says, what are you doing just buying pizza? I hope you're enjoying it because it's going to run out quick. And then he's walking around the arena and he sees one of the department heads and he kind of starts walking towards the guy, but trying not to. And the department head looks at him and says, hey, you're the pizza guy, right? Yeah. He's like, all right, your name is coming up more and more than I want to think about. And we have to decide, are we going to file a restraining order against you or hire you? Because one of the two is going to happen in the next week if you keep doing this.
That's good. I
Now,
love that.
he gets hired on as an assistant editor. 29 and a half years later, he's one of the faces of the color commentary team, travels with them, everything.
I love it.
And this is 95. So we've moved up a long way since then. And I know you pushed the envelope for your approach to unconventional warfare on resumes.
Yeah, the resume is dead. Okay. It's dead. It's an archaic way of doing business. And, job seekers feel it. You know what I'm talking about. You're applying online, it's going nowhere. Okay. So we got to do, a resume is a piece of marketing. At the end of the day, it's just a really bad one. Okay. So what did that guy do back in, when was that?
95.
95. Okay. So he put his resume and attached it to a piece of pizza or gave him a pizza, right? So he had something that was attracting to them to get noticed, right? You've got to do whatever it takes to get seen, to get noticed, to get discovered. And right now, the biggest issue is that People, nobody knows you. Nobody knows who you are. You're applying online and it's not going anywhere. So no one knows who you are. And so you need attention. Okay. And where attention goes, money flows. Okay. And so what I teach is for people to create a marketing funnel, right? To create a marketing machine for their job search, to get discovered, to drive inbound leads to their job search. And, we do things like video resumes, things like this podcast, creating a podcast to create a marketing machine for yourself. There's a lot of different strategies that I teach, but all of it stems around awareness. Okay. When you look at a marketing funnel, you've got at the very top is awareness. And once you build awareness, you can get interest. And once you get interest, you can get a decision. And once you get a decision, you can get action. Okay. But none of that happens. You can't get the action if no one knows you exist. They got to know, like, and trust you. And if they don't know you, you're going nowhere. And so that's the whole premise of what I teach is discoverability. I want to get you noticed. I want to get you seen. I want your phone to start ringing. I want you to stop chasing and start attracting. Okay. I want to reverse engineer the job search for you so that you're not seeking. Okay. You're attracting. It's a completely different energy. And
And you hit on a couple of things there. One is, how do you market yourself? No one is going to be an advocate for you if you're not your own advocate.
bingo.
Off air, I told you the story today. I was at the bank and I was talking to the guy, finished what I had to do for my business account. And then I told him, I was going home to record a podcast. And he started asking me about the podcast. And I watched him whip out his phone and subscribe right then and there in front of me. And that's one more set of years that could turn into exponentially more, because if he listens and likes it, he's going to tell his friends, and then they tell two friends, and then they tell two friends. And before you know it, that one subscriber could have turned into hundreds.
Absolutely. Podcasting is an absolute game changer for visibility, for opportunities. Like, you're right. Somebody can hear you, align with your mission and what you're doing, and everything changes for you like that. Okay. You're only one conversation away from everything that you've ever wanted in life unlocking for you. And it takes the right pair of ears to hear your message and align with it. And they start opening doors for you. Okay. And so that's what I try to teach people is like, look, we got to get you seen. Right. And a podcast is just one of the many ways that we do that. But by creating long form video like this, like we're doing right now, this long form video, there's going to be a whole bunch of little nuggets in here. Now, the issue that a lot of people get hung up on is they're worried everything's going to be, it has to be perfect or whatever. No, this
Good
is a
enough.
it's a conversation. Totally, like right now, me and you. Hey, when we first started the podcast, the intro was kind of a little rough, but we're getting
Yep.
here, right? We're
And
getting into it.
and that's the way conversations happen.
Absolutely. I
You know,
didn't
you
know what to expect. You didn't know what to expect. And we kind of got into it. We're here. That's what a real, authentic, genuine conversation looks like, right? And that's what people are wanting, anyways. They're starving for authenticity these days. We got AI, we got all this stuff. People want authenticity. So you're going to have a long form conversation. You can either deliver a talk. Okay. If you do a solo episode and deliver a talk and absolutely like teach a subject that you already know. So whatever that is, if you're a project manager or you are a HR, whatever the case. What? Okay. Actually, I'm gonna flip a question on to you,
all
Trevor,
right,
if
bring
you
it.
don't mind.
Bring it.
What is one of the biggest problems that companies face in regards to project management? Like, what's like a?
Oh, you must have read something I wrote today,
No, I didn't. But
because I actually saw this trend on LinkedIn
okay,
for the past couple of weeks of people posting different things about the role of a project manager and what a project manager does. And I got fed up with it. And I made a post about, hey, this is what a PM does. We ske- we we do not schedule meetings. We schedule meetings that we facilitate. Do we make shiny charts and send updates? Yes, we do. We make the color charts because that's what the stakeholders like, you know, and that's the joke I put in there. But I also said we make the charts that make sense, tailored to the audience based off of what they need. If a stakeholder needs a colored chart to make things more visual to them, I use it. Some they like a burn down chart with just a bar, a line, and that's it. You make updates based off of what the audience is. You tailor your approach, and PMs are more than just admin people. That is one of the biggest challenges that PMs face right now as an industry is our job is to make it look easy. So if we're doing our job, everyone thinks we're not working.
See, there you go. So I love that. I would so first of all, what you just did right there could be clipped. Boom.
It is. It will be.
So yeah, there you go.
It will
See?
be.
Um and what I would teach job seekers is to flip that instead of the biggest problem that project management uh, professionals face. Flip it to what's the challenge that companies face when in regard to project management. What's the problem that you specifically solve for a company? Right. That's kind of like the XYZ statement we were talking about earlier. Like, what problem do you solve for a company? And then deliver a talk, a solo talk where you're educating. Like, let's say you were educating a room full of companies. I want you to imagine this. Okay.
Well, I can give you one better that I just heard this week.
Well, hold on. So let's say you're like literally giving a talk to 100 different companies, and you know about a problem that you solve for them. Right? Deliver that talk because it's the knowledge that you already know, and then you take that. Okay, you got a long form video, and we're gonna chop that thing up into a bunch of little slices, and we're gonna use tools like the one we're on right now, which is Riverside. Riverside will automatically chop it up, all your video. And then the real goal is when you take the transcription of this video. You take the transcription and over to AI, you can use ChatGPT or whatever tool you want. But you take that transcription and the AI can turn it in. I actually have a specific prompt for this, but the AI will turn it into polls, articles. It'll extract all the quotes. So any like real powerful quote, it'll extract it. Um, Essentially, you're creating a whole content machine, blog posts, you name it, can come out of that transcription that's in text. So we have this strategy of taking a conversation like this, just regular fluid combo. You can either do an interview like this, or you could do a solo talk, right? And deliver a talk around a subject. So that's one of the strategies that we teach. But what were you going to say? I'm sorry, I cut you
Well,
off.
no, you're good. The one of the things you've said was if you get a speaking engagement, act like you're at the Oscars. Get yourself
Mm,
mic'd up, get a camera, get yourself
absolutely.
looking professional, build that
Yes.
content, right?
Yes.
Well, I was telling that to a friend of mine who's a leadership coach, and he was saying, because I actually have a speaking engagement coming up at the end in January of 26, and he said, dude, you can go down to the library to book a community room for free, get yourself dressed up. They've got whiteboards, get your mic, get your camera, get your phone tripod, and just pretend like you're giving the speech to everybody in the world that cares. Record it, chop it up, and now you've got the content of you presenting. And I'm not saying to be disingenuous and lie, but there's also the value in a presentation versus sitting here talking to the camera.
Oh, 100%. 100%. I agree with that. And yes, if you get on stage, record it. All right. Have somebody. I mean, there's certain times where you may even invest in yourself to capture that footage because that footage becomes an asset for you. It's literally an asset. So let's say you get invited to speak on a big stage and a lot of times if especially if it's like a conference or something like that and they got lights and all this flash, okay? They got your big picture on the screen and maybe walkout music. I mean, depending on how the level of the stage, but Let's just imagine for a minute, you're getting to walk onto a stage like that. You better capture that moment and don't expect them to do it for you. They may record that, they may not record it, then you're chasing them down trying to get the record. Like, don't even, no. I want somebody, you need someone to record B-roll footage for you, right? Someone that's in the audience and has got the camera catching like different angles and like behind you, in front of you, the audience clapping. Like, we're gonna create uh a speaker reel out of that that will help you to get more speaking engagements. So you're absolutely right. And there's nothing wrong with what you said. I actually know of I think she's a New York Times best-selling author. Gosh, having a brain fart on her name. Lauren, can't remember her last name. Anyway, she was on my show. I'll have to come back to her name. But anyways, this lady, she's written a bunch of best-selling books, and she speaks all over. Big corporations pay her tens and tens of thousands of dollars to come and speak. Gosh, I'm drawing a blank on her name. Anyway, um, and she told me, she was like, when she was starting her speaking career, that she went to a conference and asked the speaker there, or the people there, said, "Hey, would you mind if I get up like on your stage and like take some footage and like maybe get, you know." And so she did just that. They said, "Yeah, sure, get up there." She got up there and she brought a videographer with her. They grabbed a bunch of footage of her and all of that. Yeah, made her look like a rock star.
It's
Right? She didn't
funny.
even speak at that conference.
You're telling the story. I literally just heard this story from somebody else who they were at a big conference. They were just attending, but there was a break. So everyone emptied out of the room and he
Yep.
went and got up on this fancy stage and got a couple of headshots for himself. And then the speaker came in early and was like, man, I wish I had thought of that.
Yeah. Think about that. Connect with whoever's organizing the event. Okay. See if you can connect with somebody that has some authority there. Right. Might be a little embarrassing if you did it during the break and got caught and they're
Why?
like, what are you doing?
Why?
Well, because they could go the opposite
That's,
way. They could be
yeah.
like, what are you doing?
Oh, I thought
Why
you
are
meant
you
it
on our
could.
stage?
I
That's
thought you meant it
equipment.
could. I thought you were saying it could be embarrassing, like if somebody, one of the attendees sees you doing it.
No, 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 no. I wouldn't worry about that. But like, you think about it. There's a lot of lights, camera, action up on those stages, you know, and so I wouldn't necessarily go jump on a stage without somebody giving me the green light, right? But all you got to do is ask. Simply ask. Say, "Hey, would you mind if I jumped up there?" And they're gonna say, "Yeah." Most of the time, look, they're there to make sure you have a great experience. They're like, "Sure, yeah, get up there, go ahead."
See, well, how do you think my small podcast got such a big guest like Trevor Houston?
You gotta ask.
Because I asked. And when I asked you in the coaches corner, I put it in the chat and you said, "I'll come on because you asked."
That's right.
I had no intention of coming on your show, but because you asked, I will.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you don't. Yeah, if you don't ask, the answer is always no,
Exactly.
right?
So now is where we get to the fun part of the show. Because I want to know, you do a lot of coaching, you do a lot of outside the box techniques and thoughts. What's the one or two where someone has come up to you and said, "Hey, I got this idea." And you just hear it and you go, "Wow." Good or bad, preferably the bad ones.
Okay, so you're asking, um, when someone else has shared an idea with me that has been bad during maybe like one of my coaching sessions or something like that.
Either that or just knows who you are and approaches you in an event and talks to you.
Okay. Good question. Bad ideas that people have come up to me and said,
Like, should I lie and say I'm an executive at a company that doesn't exist, like
hmm.
Vandalay Industries, to get in the door?
I would say one of the biggest ones that I've heard um, is stuff in the resume with white letters.
Oh, that's a good one. That's a
Yeah,
good one.
I hear that one all the time, and again, focus is in the wrong place. The focus is in the resume, and it's like the resume is not the problem. Okay, that's really not the problem. The problem is Nobody knows who you are. Okay. And no one's seeing you just because of the way the system is worked. Okay. You're applying online, it goes in cyberspace. So you stuff it with keywords. Whatever you do doesn't matter. You're going in the black hole regardless. And if they catch you stuffing
Then you're
that resume,
blacklisted.
yeah, you're blacklisted. Like, so again, your focus is in the wrong place. Okay. Your focus is on this one little piece of paper. Okay. When you should be focused on getting people involved and getting attention. Right. So networking and connecting and asking and doing the things that are going to get you seen. Right. When you ask someone, hey, would you mind? Well, I know a lot of times when you apply online, it just goes in the black hole. Would you mind getting this in front of the right person for me?
Or just
That
asking, do
is
you know
different.
this person? I'm looking at this job. Can you look it up and see if you know the hiring manager? And if you don't, would you mind introducing me to somebody that you do know that might?
Yeah. I mean, a lot of times these big companies, like you think, especially the big ones, like their hiring team is so large and the company might be so big that they got spread out all over the country. They've got different departments and all of this and that. Like at the end of the day, it may be trying to crack a code to figure out who the right decision maker is, right? So to me, that's not as important. What I want to do is get an advocate inside the company who's gonna simply pass it along. They're gonna go like this. They're gonna sure. And if they don't know who the right decision maker is, tell them to ask,
Or
right?
ask them to send it to somebody in HR.
That that's right.
And a lot of
That's what I'm
companies
saying.
too, a lot of companies too, they have referral links for internal referral candidates.
That's huge.
So if you get that referral link,
You're gonna get paid.
they get paid and you're automatically into a different bucket of people.
Correct.
And I think
That is
that's
so
a
correct.
and I think that's a great place to end for this portion of the episode because we have more with Trevor and that's when I'm going to be asking him the pointed questions about how his secret recipe works. So I'll hand the floor over to you to tell the audience where they can find you and find out more about you and what you do.
Yeah, just come over and connect with me on LinkedIn. That's probably where I'm most active. Just look up Trevor Houston. You'll see me there. And yeah, send me a message and a connection request, and I'd love to hear from you. Let me know where you tuned in from too.
So when you send him a message, say you saw him on the Disgruntled PM podcast.
There you
And
go.
I'll have a link to his LinkedIn in the show notes and some of his other stuff that he's got going on because he's being very modest about all the things he's got going on. So with that, like and subscribe to my show and his show where you'll get all kinds of great information. Subscribe to the Patreon because you don't want to miss the information he's going to be putting out. And I'll end like I always do. May all your deliverables be on time, your budget's in the black, and your scope not creeping. For Trevor Houston, I'm still Trevor, and I'm still the Disgruntled PM.